Hey, good evening. Hello. And we are back for Mindset Explosion Season 3, Episode 46. I've got a really excited for tonight. And Natalie Hull is coming on to talk about two of the things that she's running and how having a creative mindset is so important. And we'll just see about how life can change as well. So let me just bring Natalie in. Hello, Natalie. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. I'm used to seeing you in a martial arts environment, so it's a bit different seeing you on here.
I know, that's true. You're training with my studio, right?
Yeah, both my boys do.
Yeah, that's it. Wow, well, they're doing really well as well. But we're here to find out what you've been up to over the last 5 or 6 years. Wow, we've had a good chat before we came on. So actually this morning I was on a seminar. I think I mentioned it to you before. It was all about reinventing yourself. And listening to you, I feel like that's kind of part of the journey that you've really been on. So we're going to talk about having a creative mindset and how that's good for us, and how you work with that. But you've been on a massive journey. It sounds like. So you started off as a financial advisor. You said, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I started off sort of learning languages and living in different countries and sort of doing various bits and pieces, and then it was only really when I moved back to the UK and all my school peers were sort of in very serious careers and on the property ladder, and I suddenly just thought, maybe I should start a proper career now rather than just traveling around and doing random jobs and learning languages, which is great. But so yeah, I trained as a financial advisor and went through all the qualifications and became chartered and certified, and ended up working in London for a large accountancy practice. And I did that up until I had my boys.
Wow. So you travel then?
All over the place, but I actually lived in France for a while, and I lived in Spain for about 3.5 years. So Madrid, up on the coast near Barcelona, and down in Granada. I was studying at the University of Granada there. So and then I was working. I actually did a master's in graphic design in Madrid, which was slightly random. And I probably would have ended up doing that and staying working for the very renowned agency in Madrid if it wasn't for the fact that my then partner got a job up on near Barcelona, and we ended up moving up there. And so I moved into a totally different field of work. But yeah, that would have been my sort of creative career, if you like, if I'd stayed there. So it's funny how life wends its way down different paths. And then somehow I ended up coming back to the UK and doing financial side for quite a few years. And then I had my boys, and everything changed. My mindset changed, my outlook changed. And I guess I've come full circle in a way, back to my creative self.
Yeah, but that's nice. I guess you've really lived. Fantastic. And then, so when you have children, Etienne came first, right?
Yeah, he was a bit of a miracle. We weren't expecting it. I had issues, so he came as a bit of a wham bam. Here I am, and he's been a bit like that ever since. Actually, he's a bit of a force of nature. So yeah, he came along and sort of changed everything really. I mean, I won't get all soppy, but something about becoming a parent that changes everything. And they've always meant the world to me, and I think that's why deep down I knew that I wanted to do something that I could work around them and be a sort of present mum, if you like. And I always wanted to have a really close relationship with them. And then Reuben was a bit tricky. He was a bit more difficult. He took 3 years. So he's a slightly more awkward one, but he was worth the wait. And then it was really when I was pregnant with him that I moved from London down to the West Country, which is where I grew up anyway. But unfortunately, my husband was stuck working and living in London. So it was just me and Etienne, who was 3, and me expecting a little baby. So going back to my full-time career, going out finding clients and things just wasn't going to work. And I'd also sort of thought long and hard over the years that I probably wanted to do my own thing, and get back to my creative self, and create something of my own. So I knew it was going to be a tough path, but ultimately and I knew it would take longer because I was going to have to be, I was going to be focused on the boys, but I'd set my mind to it, and then it was just a case of finding that nugget to run with.
And this is when Sockatoos?
This is when Sockatoos was born, yeah. So apart from wanting to set up my own business and create my own product, I also had that very frustrating experience with 2 little boys of losing endless pairs of socks. Piles of odd socks, losing socks in the washing machine, walking halfway back around the supermarket to try and find the sock that had been left on the floor. You know how it is. So, and trying to find a pair of matching socks when you're trying to take them out for a walk or to the park or to nursery. And yeah, it was during that time when I was trying to get a particularly wriggly Reuben dressed and getting some trousers on, and then trying to find a pair of matching socks, and then trying to get them on him and keep them on him, so that we could go out. I just thought, right, okay, what I need is a pair of trousers, the kind of trousers that I really like, nice quality pair of trousers. I don't want tights, because I did tights with Etienne and he used to have a bit of eczema and it would always be itchy and scratchy and quite tight and restrictive on him. But I just wanted like a really nice pair of trousers with the socks built into them. So it was just an all-in-one. But could I find anything at all like it? No, I couldn't find anything. So it was either, old school baby grows, rompers. I think that's when I had my light bulb moment. It's like, right, well, if it's not out there, I'm going to make it myself.
This is them here, right?
As if by magic, yes. Here's the one I made earlier.
Hang on, I'm trying to so we went to the, so this is what they are. So, yeah,
so there's at the moment there's jeans style, and there's jogger style, and then I briefly had cord style, which sold out very quickly, and I need to get some more of those in stock. But yeah, so there's sort of 3 different main styles with different sort of colorways depending on what you like, and the little one's personality, but they've all got little pops of color. The jeans are fully soft jersey lined, so they're particularly good in these chillier months, and they're really lovely soft cotton, 100% cotton denim. And then the socks are particularly sort of stretchy and hard wearing, and they've got the non-slip grips on the soles and drawstring waist as well, so you can adjust them, and they're very generously cut. So if you using cloth nappies, for example, I know a lot of mums and dads have problems with finding trousers to fit those because they're a bit bulkier, and they're just they're really nice and soft. And then the joggers are, if you get these sort of slightly cheap thin material joggers, but these ones are like lovely thick premium cotton. Again, they're all sort of marl grey, and they've got little pops of colour, and they've got a bright coloured pocket on the back. I brought out pink more recently after demand for slightly more girly colours. I was going with unisex, but apparently we're not quite there. So although the pink has been quite popular with some with boys as well, so I don't know, maybe it's going the other way to how I thought. But yeah, so I just find people are either more of a joggers person or a jeans person, and I designed them how I would want to have a pair of trousers for my kids, like really lovely quality, they're going to last, wash really well. You just chuck them in the washing machine and then hang them up. You don't have to worry about fishing out little socks or hanging little socks up, dried for the next morning, and they don't wear like some clothing do. So they're they are premium, and the socks also last really well. So they've just got lots of little features that I would have liked to have had ideally for mine. Sadly, Reuben is now 5, so he's grown out of them because they only go up to age 4. They went up to age 3, then I went up to age 4, and then he's not in them anymore. So and he did live in them because I think they ended up having uses that you never even thought of, like wellies, for example. You know how you go out for a welly walk with your little one, and then every 5 minutes, "Mummy, can you pull up my sock? It's fallen down in my boot and my trousers have ridden up and I've got cold legs." Don't get that with Sockatoos. And the sling as well, when they're sitting in the sling and their legs are dangling and the socks are sort of about to fall off and the trousers have ridden up. Don't get that with Sockatoos. So they're good for keeping little ones snug, and they're dancing on hard floors because everyone's got hard floors these days at home. They've got the grips on them and they stay on. And they make great gifts as well. Just thought I'd say that now we're close to Christmas.
Yeah, great idea. Great idea. My step-auntie's left me comment. Necessity is the mother of invention.
Absolutely. Born out of your own issues, and you just know that so many other people are struggling with the same problem. So it's, I'm not some sort of faceless corporation that's just made these on the cheap. These are made out of love and experience, and I'm very passionate about them, and I just need to get them out there now because I also don't have the budget of a large corporation. So it's that age-old problem of just trying to go, "Hi, see my product, it's great, honestly." So, but it's happening there slowly. It's getting there slowly.
I say it looks like it's like you're on social media. It's pretty good.
It's getting there. It was because my son started school last year. This was going to be the year of the big push. Obviously, this year's been very challenging, so it wasn't really the year I was expecting to have. But I've taken time out to sort of learn and discover, and I've had to get good at social media. And Matt, doing your course has really helped as well because you are an expert in that field. So and I know I need to get even better. I was a total social media dinosaur before this. I was always a very private person. I didn't really post. I don't know whether it's a generational thing, but I've had to really suss out social media and get better at it. And there's still so much to learn, and they keep changing it. Just as I've got used to how something works, they change it or bring something else out. But I've actually got a couple of people helping me on Sockatoos now. So, even my team is growing. And it's going in the right direction, and it's getting out to a few different countries. And just watch the space. Hopefully next year will be the year this should have been.
Will we see you on Dragon?
Do you know what? So many people have said that, but I don't know. I don't know if I could do it. I think it would make me or break me. If I was a more daring person, I probably would.
Just need to get a presentation together, and we get some great advice. I think it's a great idea. With the boys, we just cut them in the rows in the end. We got fed up losing the tops. About, and then got to change a nappy again. Take it all off, put it back on, and all three were napping at one point. No. They look warm. They are. The doggers look warmer than like a thin baby.
They are, and this is the issue I have with trying to sell online, is because online you can't really convey the quality. People can't see it and feel it. So when I was doing exhibitions, or when I'm in the shops, for example, then people don't necessarily know the brand, but they can see and feel the quality of the product, and it just clicks. Whereas online it's very difficult because you've got to overcome that trust barrier of, oh well, I don't know this brand, do I really want to spend money on a product that I don't know, a brand I don't know? Or I'll just buy a pair of jeans from the supermarket and buy a pack of 10 socks, and then 2 weeks later they realise that they only got 2 of those pack of 10 socks left, and they're wishing they bought the Sockatoos. But it's it's very difficult because I'm not someone that's just made something cheap to sort of sell as fast as possible. I've made something of high quality, but it is it is really difficult online only. So that's been the challenge this year. But you know, it's starting to happen with word of mouth, and you know, you start to see little ones wearing them when you're out and about, and it's, you know, it's just that ball has started to roll. But also, you know, people have struggled this year, and people don't have as much money to spend on things, and people are only getting the basics. And
Natalie, PlayStation and Xbox, they seem to sell out of £500 console. So
that is true, actually. Yeah,
it's where our heads are at.
You're not making me feel better now.
No, it's inspiring.
Well, I mean, we all know games consoles are a necessity, right? I mean, you can't live without them. So.
No. What horrible world would it be?
Yeah, there you go. For a fraction of the cost of a games console, you can make your day-to-day life significantly easier by buying Sockatoos. There you go.
Also, socks, the baby socks used to get stuck in the washing machine. Is to get
exactly. Well, it's a well-known fact that it might be an alternative truth, but it's a well-known fact that washing machines eat socks. I mean, they actually swallow them. I don't know where they go, but they it's some, I don't know, some conspiracy down the back of the washing machine where all the socks go.
Yeah, got it. I think I really love the idea. I'm sure it's gonna. I'm sure next year is going to be really good for you, and because I guess you said if you having that time, I just you know, as parents, as children grow up, they become that little bit more independent. We get that time back, I guess, don't we?
Yeah, that's why, you know, again, why this year was going to be the year. And then, you know, it's turned out to be different, well, to how everyone expected, really. But there's nothing we can do about it, and you just have to take from it what you can. And you know, I've sort of tried to turn it to my advantage, but
that's all.
Yeah. So I ended up spending more time with my son, actually, than I would have done when he wasn't at school previously, because he wasn't even able to go to any, you know, groups or anything. So yeah, strange old world.
That's why I said to my boys today. They were complaining about homeschooling. I said, yeah, but look, you got extra time with mummy and you got extra time with me, and we would never ever have had that.
No, exactly. It's been better. And also my husband was home during lockdown, and for him that was the biggest blessing ever. He was, you know, he used to hate being up in London all week, and for him to spend that amount of time with all of us during the week, it's just been incredible. So, you know, there really have been huge blessings, but, you know, there's also been a lot of pressure in the background, and I guess it's just how you choose. I heard a really good quote a few days ago, which was that 2020 is not the year to get everything you want, but to appreciate everything you have, which I thought was really good. And stop stressing about the things that you wanted to achieve and haven't been able to, and actually just focus on the things that you already have and have been able to focus more time on. Actually, I said to my husband, I quite like to clone myself so I could spend more time on the business as well as with the kids, and he looked horrified. He said one of me is more than enough.
Maybe you just need to employ a man. You have to look at the Kickstart scheme. You might be able to get someone to look after it for you. Look into that. Yeah.
Not quite.
So
lots of things on the horizon, though.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think you got a great product, definitely.
Thank you.
Wish it was around. Why wasn't it there in 2008? Everyone's at home saying,
I know. I get lots of people saying that, and also lots of people saying, "What, can you do these for teenagers?" I think the problem is teenagers' socks start to smell long before their trousers do, so I don't think it would really work. But yeah.
Well, maybe you look at this again, and you'll probably think of something by the time your boys are teenagers.
Yeah, I will just have to keep increasing the largest size to the point where they come in adults as well.
It could be like
yeah, and actually on a more serious note, I have had a nurse, for example, say to me they'd be really useful for people who struggle to get themselves dressed, you know, because it's just much easier. You're only having to put one thing on. So there's all sorts of angles out there that you just hadn't even, and advantages, benefits that you hadn't even thought about. So who knows? Who knows? It's wide open.
So you've got the Sockatoos, and you've got really something, it sounds like, so that's your business, that's something you're passionate about from a business perspective, and you've got into fine art as well. And was that around the same time?
Yeah, so I've always been creative. As a kid, I was always sort of drawing, and I would sort of draw pencil portraits of people. I've always loved sort of drawing people, like faces and animals and things like that. So I was always doing creative stuff as a kid, and then I don't know, schoolwork and uni and traveling and getting a proper career took over, and it sort of always got parked. And then it was while it was after I had Ruben, my youngest. And there was a watercolor painting class at the village hall opposite our house, and so I went to it and just absolutely loved it. And then while I was on maternity leave, I started going to some local art groups, and I would just take Ruben as a tiny baby in his little bouncy chair with car seat, and he would just sort of sit there. He was quite good, so it was easy to do, and I would just paint, you know, very sleep deprived, but it was just nice to go and do something else, and I just really got the buzz for it. And then over time I sort of developed what people said was quite a particular style of my own. It wasn't by design, it just kind of happened. And I absolutely love colour. And I started realising that I could use colour to create sort of warmth and cool and movement and expression in something that might just be, you know, to the normal eyes, brown or what have you. And I would just play around with it. And I think that's what I love about art, is it's kind of a release, you know, it can bring out my personality, and it's just a way of getting away from those restraints and just doing something that's a bit fun. And then I entered a local art competition and won it with my barn owl painting. And then yeah. God, you're so slick, Matt. Yeah, that barn owl painting, which is quite a big painting, and the hare was also one of my first ones. Yeah, those are probably my three favourite ones, actually.
I like this
Highland Bill as well. Yeah, my husband asked me to do the carp because he's a keen carp fisherman. So that was my friend's dog, a black Labrador.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, living in the Cotswolds, I had to do a pheasant, obviously.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've had quite a few commissions of dogs as well. So you'll see quite a few dogs up there. Some of which I can't put up there because, yeah, they're sort of very personal. But yes, I won this competition, and then someone came up to me afterwards. He was quite, you know, like a councillor of the village or something, so quite important, and asked me if he could buy the barn owl. And I was a bit blown away by it, but explained that, you know, I didn't paint to sell. I only really painted for myself, and I didn't even consider myself to be an artist or to, you know, be in a position to sell my paintings. But I don't know, it sort of kept happening. And then I decided to start selling prints of my paintings, because that was a way of selling them to people who really liked it, but without parting with the originals. Because I would maybe only paint sort of 3 or 4 a year. And then this year in lockdown, I decided to use that additional time to do some more painting. You know, when you're not rushing around taking your kids to martial arts and various after school clubs and things, which, don't get me wrong, they absolutely love, and I'm so glad we're going back there now. But just not have, but to be able to have that time where you're not out and about here, there and everywhere doing your kids' activities, gave me the time to do it. And I would, because it was nice weather, I would take myself outside and I would just shut off for about 3-4 hours, and just, it was very intensive. And I would just paint. And then I had an introduction to a gallery through a friend, a fine art gallery, and they loved my stuff and took me on. They have some of my original paintings, and that's Mercia Fine Art in Winchcombe. I should give them a shout out, really, because they're great. They got some beautiful things in there. And yeah, it's just, I guess it's just sort of happened, really. And it's sort of, that's running alongside my Sockatoos. I definitely focus more of my attention on the Sockatoos, but the art thing is sort of there. And you know, I'll see if I can get into a few more galleries. But it's strange how it's happened, and it feels like it was a sort of always meant to be thing. And then one day maybe I'll be able to spend more time painting as well.
Wow.
But that's that one there is from India. So India is one of the countries that I love to travel to. I just love all the colours, the architecture, the contrasts, just, you know, the buzz, everything. And then the one below it is a Cotswold scene. Two quite opposing scenes.
There's something about what it is. It's just quite peaceful. They're all quite peaceful.
Yeah.
Imagine it. Right, wow.
I mean, that one there, the pheasant, the robin and the pheasant, that pheasant there, yeah, they're now Christmas cards. Because the gallery owner suggested that I turn those into Christmas cards. But I mean, if you look at there's actually lots of colours in there, even though it is really a snowy scene.
In here, yeah.
But it just, you know, it's evocative, isn't it? And it makes you feel Christmassy.
It does. The robin, I think, I love robins. The
robin is very popular, I have to say. The robin is very popular. I have just recently sold the original painting of that, and the cards, I've just had to get a restock of the cards. So yeah, people in this country do love robins. I'm gonna have to paint some more.
Yeah.
And hedgehogs, apparently. People keep asking me to paint hedgehogs.
You go down the badger, no?
Badger, foxes, yeah.
Well, if anytime I go to Ireland and stay with family, in the morning I always see a robin. They're quite sacred. So it's supposed to be a message from.
They are very sacred, symbolic.
Yeah. So
for sure.
That's cool. So when you do them, do you kind of just think, I know you said we're in the Cotswolds, and the pheasant's that's definitely from. I feel that definitely Cotswolds. And but what kind of do you think that in that's there, or is it? How do you come up with that idea? Basically,
I don't know. I mean, the pheasant was probably just because, I mean, we live in the countryside, and I probably happened to have seen dozens of pheasants that day, and I just, you know, they're such a colourful, quirky, slightly comical bird, and we get lots of partridges as well, who are very friendly. In fact, we had one
partridge.
They're so cute, and they're just so colourful, and we had one that was just going around our kitchen island at one point, which the boys found hysterical. So I don't know, it may have been that I just seen some pheasants and I just thought I'd love to paint them, because I just, you know, I love the colours, and I suppose they are quite iconic of the Cotswolds, but otherwise I might just come across, you know, a photo with a particularly humorous angle of an animal, or there's something in that photo that I see the colours and the sense of fun in it. I don't know, it might have a slightly quirky camera angle, or I don't know, really. I come across things and I just think I really want to paint that. And then obviously commissions is different, you know, a lot of people like to have their dogs painted, and you know, I always try and get them to find me a photo which is shows its character, because ultimately that's what I want to bring out. Otherwise you may as well just have a photo. So, you know, find a particular image of their pet that best shows their character and has a slightly I don't know, humorous, whimsical expression, and then just capture that in painting form. And try not to paint it exactly either. Try and do it sort of painterly, impressionist way, because I think that brings out more of the character.
And you remind me, because before we came on air, you was talking about where your children are colouring and how you encourage them to just do whatever. Don't worry about getting in the lines.
Yeah. So when I was little, I used to just do a lot of pencil drawing, and I would draw and shade to the point where it looked exactly like the photo. And at school you're always taught to sort of colour neatly in the lines, and this is this colour and that's that colour, and well, no, I think this is actually more slightly bluer than that. I think we need to get, and I don't know, I see my boys doing that and worrying about colouring in the lines and making something look exactly how it looks in a picture. And I just find it interesting that we spend our whole childhood trying to do things very precisely and correctly, and then in adulthood, when it comes to things like art and creativity, is actually trying to expand away from those restrictions and just be a bit looser and freer. And the best paintings are one that they're not a true accurate representation. They're representation of the colour and the feel and the movement. And so I'm always saying to my boys, you don't need to colour in the lines. You don't even need to colour anything in. Just draw your own thing. Draw whatever comes to your mind. Be free with it. It doesn't have to look exactly like the thing. We have to know what it is, and it has to be your idea of what it is. But that's what's so exciting about art, in that it isn't an exact science. And, a lot of it is about composition and about the colour used, and about saying, I can sort of see what that is. Oh yeah, that's what that is. And it's making you think about things and seeing things and visualizing things, rather than it all being spelt out for you. It's capturing people's imagination. It's what it should be about. So yeah, it does frustrate me slightly when everything's very sort of clinical and precise. I mean, some things need to be precise, like martial arts moves and things, but when it comes to art, I don't know. I think it should be more about your personal expression.
I think a lot of things like that are, even with martial arts to a degree, and dance, is an expression of yourself.
Yeah, I suppose you have to learn specific techniques and sequences, or how to achieve a certain effect, how to achieve the outcome that you want. But then within that, being creative with how you use that, and being able to think on the spur of the moment, being able to apply it to different circumstances. So yeah, I suppose there are actually quite a few parallels. But yeah, I suppose it's independence of thought.
Yeah, definitely. So how have you found your creative mindset and benefit for you? Not just with art, but generally. I feel like you've always had that throughout the different paths. It sounds like you've had incredible life experience and taking these different paths. You feel like creativity is always there, or it's really coming out now, and how does that kind of help you?
Yeah, I definitely feel like I'm on the right path now, and I think I probably not so much suppress my creativity. I mean, it's funny, even in some of my less traditionally creative jobs, I suppose, I always seem to end up getting involved in the creative side of it, whether it was designing a logo or website, or thinking outside the box in terms of marketing, how you would, I mean, even a sort of very technical financial concept. A lot of it, success of being a financial advisor is being able to explain that concept in a way that can it's rough. It's about.
Sorry, Nat, we lost you a bit there.
I started talking about finance and Karen cut off. I don't want to hear about that. yeah, I suppose even in that way, I was thinking outside the box in terms of how to explain it in a way that was better able to sort of engage and visualize. But for me, doing art, it just makes me so happy. And don't get me wrong, I mean, this kind of style, my style of painting definitely puts me outside my comfort zone. My comfort zone is drawing something precisely, exactly how I want it, you know, how it should look. Painting in a more free way is out my comfort zone. I do get really nervous every single time I started painting. I don't know why, I just do. I guess because I want it to be, I have a vision of how I want it to look, and then I worry that it's not going to be that way, it's not going to work. And you know, like anything, there are some days where it just doesn't happen, doesn't come out how I want it to. I'm not feeling it, I'm not in the right state of mind, I'm not feeling particularly inspired. And then another day it will just happen, and you don't know how or why, but you're just in the right sort of headspace, and it just flows. And I guess that's like just every day really. You have good days and bad days, but yeah, I think it's the art. I think what I noticed about my art is that I could be doing it for sort of 3-4 hours and I've been totally and utterly absorbed in it. And I realised that it's sort of, you know, 6 o'clock in the evening, and I haven't made the kids dinner yet. And it's the time has just flown and I haven't thought about anything else. I don't know, I suppose it's quite meditative as well in a way. I mean, the Sockatoos business, you know, it's a very different thing, and I'm thinking about 100 different things at once, and lots of different elements that I have to think about from a business point of view, marketing, you know, the admin side. But the painting is very, in terms of, you know, your focus, it's just 100% absorbed. And you know, I do yoga as well as one of my hobbies, so I guess that's similar in a way.
No, definitely.
I think there's just so much going on in life. You know, my husband, he works very long hours, so I sort of have to think about everything, not just work wise, but with the kids and the home and just general life admin. So I suppose I've always got, you know, 1,001 things going on in my head that I have to think about. So art is a really good way of switching off from all of that, and just, and it's hard, you know, you have to be strict about finding the time to do it, and it's very hard to sort of say, right, I'm going to block out 3-4 hours to do it, because you sort of feel a bit guilty, but you have to do it. And it's always worth it.
It sounds like you're very disciplined with it.
Yeah, and I think I'd say that's, you know, that's would be advice for everyone, is if it's not every day, just a few times a week, just if you can, you know, I know we find it hard, we feel like we have to be 100% doing things all of the time, but if you can just be quite disciplined about blocking some time out to meditate or do something that switches off, you know, some yoga, breathing, or just doing something else, if it's reading a book, you know, anything. I just think it's good, it's really good for us, and actually it probably makes us more productive with everything else as well, because if you can switch your mind off for a while, it sort of can reboot.
100%. I'm doing this. Oh no!
It's amazing how hard it is to do nothing, though. That's,
yeah, I know. I think you've got the good part. Okay, so yoga's great, because when I've done yoga, it just clears out my head. I don't got to think about anything, and it's for me.
yeah.
Which has a knock-on effect to everything else I'm going to do anyway. So,
Yeah.
and then with your painting, it sounds like, yes, you're having to be disciplined with that, but you understand that if it's a creative day, then cool, we can go full steam ahead, and if not, it's okay. Well, we'll come back. It'll pass. You'll come back to it the next day and start again. But it sounds like it's quite gives you a lot of balance as you know, for business, as a mum, as a wife as well. It sounds, you know, because you always seem quite calm to me. So.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I am. Not always. I get, you know, anxiety like everyone else at certain things. I get nervous. You know, I get nervous about coming on on a video. Anything that puts me outside for doing things. I've never allowed that to stop me doing those things. So I've ended up just working through that feeling rather than preventing me from doing things, because I just think I don't want to get to the end of my life and think, I wish I'd done that, and I wish I'd done that, and why didn't I just do it? How, you know, fear is such a strange, irrational thing sometimes.
See, we say that it's your body is just preparing you for it. And it's quite interesting to hear that you have that feeling of anxiety or fear just before you start a new painting. But it's good because, like you said, you're coming out of that comfort zone. So you're exercising that, you're exercising the fear factor. Then we can run, we can freeze up. But my instructor always would say, when you're scared, it's the same thing as adrenaline and excitement. It's just like you're thinking about it differently, and the blood rushes away from your tummy a little bit, and you might get a little bit whatever. But it's saying, are you ready for this now? You're ready for this situation. But I think it's the same. It's just how you just said it. It's saying, I'm ready now, ready to do this.
Yeah.
And it's nice when you look back, you think, oh, I did that.
Well, I mean, I jumped out of a plane to do a skydive when in my 20s, and that was probably the scariest thing I've ever done in my life, given I had a phobia of heights and flying. I couldn't let my sister down. And I just keep telling myself, if I can do that and survive it, then I can do anything.
I recommend everyone playing at least once in their life.
I don't do it. Do some painting. Don't jump out of a plane.
I said I'd never do it. I ended up doing it twice. I just found myself talking somewhere once with a friend and booking it up. And afterwards, what have I just done?
I suppose a lot of it is the fear of the unknown. I suppose once you've done it and you know how it feels, it's not so bad. A bit like going on live videos, but but it's still something I feel very nervous about. But yeah, I don't know. I think jumping out of aeroplanes, that might be in the past for me now. I'll stick to painting and yoga and videos.
Okay, I've done that now. I don't need to do it anymore.
But no, done it, ticket.
Yeah, exactly. No, don't need to done it now. So what's next with the painting?
What, in terms of what am I going to paint next?
Or just where do you want to go? Well, yeah, what are you going to paint next? But where?
Might paint the hedgehog next by popular demand. No, but longer term, I mean, I'd love to. Yeah, I mean, I suppose I'd love to maybe shift the balance a bit between my business and my art. So I'd like to spend more time on my art, so sort of outsource more of the Sockatoos, see it to fruition in the sense that I've got it out there and it's gained momentum and exposure and it's selling well. And then, what it really needs at that point is to be taken on by a larger company to sort of take it to the next level. And that I can still have ownership of the brand and the product design. It will still be my baby in a way, my business baby, but to hand over a lot of the sort of day-to-day running of it so that I can focus more on the art, that I enjoy so much. And who knows, more galleries. We'll just see, but that's my sort of longer term aim. And I have to see if I can. Yeah, I think it's more just a question of time, actually. But we're in a very changing world at the moment, and retail is very difficult. So it might take me longer than than it might have otherwise. But I enjoy both of them immensely, and one of them sort of uses one set of skills and sort of more business mind, and then the other one is purely sort of creative, and it's the art seems to sell itself really, as long as I've put as much of my personality into it as I can, and I'm getting it into the galleries, then it's not quite the same. Then it just sort of happens quite naturally, and you tend to get that sort of natural following. Whereas with a product like Sockatoos, it's it is much sort of more intense in terms of the marketing and having to sort of constantly reinvent the message and finding the new markets. It's a changing feast.
Yeah, I guess you can. Because Sockatoos, isn't it? Pretty much.
Sorry.
It's pretty much the same message. The parents keep coming out and coming out. Everyone's still having children, basically.
Yeah, well, it's quite interesting. With Sockatoos, a lot of people that buy are grandparents, and they, you know, they say a bit like you do, I wish I'd had these when mine were little, and they're now having babies of their own, so they know all the pitfalls of the lost socks and all this sort of thing. So they're the ones that are buying for their, you know, for their daughter or their son who've just had a baby. So yeah, it is. It's sort of, you know, it's like our kids are now listening to all the kind of 70s and 80s music that we were listening to. Everything goes full circle, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's what I remember. This was in the 80s. I mean, sorry, in the 90s when I was young.
Sorry, yes, the 90s. Sorry, the 90s and 90s. What am I talking about? The 70s and the 80s.
But they were rehashing stuff anyway. So I think that cycle's going to end.
And when I was a kid, I loved listening to my parents' music from when they were younger. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's well, who knows? You know, Sockatoos might become a household name. We'll see. Hope so. That would be great.
I'm sure it will.
Got to dream big.
Yeah. Have you got any markets coming up? Any events that you've got coming up for either the Sockatoos or your art that you want to share?
I'm on a few virtual markets at the moment, given everything's virtual at the moment. So I've got the Cotswolds virtual Christmas market, and also Say Me Different Person, which is run by Millie's Trust, which is a fantastic charity which sort of runs, you know, nationwide. So we're on there as well. Got some great offers on there. And I'm also on the Witchwood Festival market as well. So yeah, doing quite a lot at the moment.
Will you put the after in the comments?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, you know, apart from the Sockatoos, and I'm selling my art on there as well. And you know, the Christmas cards in particular are sort of doing really well on them. But there's some absolutely amazing sellers and very creative people on there. There's some brilliant small independent businesses on there, and you know, they're fantastic for buying Christmas presents. So please do check them out, and you know, shop small, shop independent. People put a lot of love into them, and it's, you know, Amazon's great, but definitely independent is the way forward. So yeah, check those markets out for some really lovely original gift ideas. Yeah,
and I think there's it's what goes into it from that you know, the individuals really with the independence. There's a lot of, it's not the time and effort, it's the nervous passion, I think.
Yeah. And you know, it's things that are handmade and are very personal, and you don't get that with the sort of mass-made products out there. But it's incredible to see the kind of things people are making. I absolutely love it. I always end up spending more money on there than I end up making, because I just see everything that's out there.
Oh, that's nice. Well, thank you so much for coming around.
Thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
We'll get you back.
Yeah, next year, when might be in a slightly different space.
Yeah, we'll see what the update is, definitely. No, thank you very much for coming on. It's been a pleasure talking to you and hearing about, and well done last week on the challenge.
Thank you.
All right. I'll speak to you in about 2 minutes. Just say goodbye to you. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm back next Sunday. I think next Sunday got Gary Das, is one of my mentors actually, coming on to talk about a few things. If I got the dates right, because I had the dates wrong with something the other week, anyway, whatever. So have a great rest of your Sunday, everyone. A great week, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.